Let's talk about your Gamecock years a little bit.
Yep.
Obviously, I know this, but you and Joe Rett have become, for years,
Yep.
best of friends.
Yes.
And there's so many guys. I love sitting around and listening to you, JoJo English,
Yeah.
Joe Rett, Pete,
Yep.
and Marcus Saxon speak about who won what pickup game,
Right.
who had the best high school team, who won state championships, the whole deal. I just sit there and I just listen to those stories, and they're powerful. So growing up, who's the best player you ever played against?
Derek Carroll.
Wow.
Derek Carroll
Wow.
that played at Oklahoma High School, who also played with one of your coaches, Doug Edwards at Florida State. He was the most talented basketball player, and that is no disrespect to any of the other players that have come through, but Derek Carroll ranks at the top of my list. Have Andre Bovan, who's my best friend, played at Clemson. Marcus Saxon was a little bit younger, but we played against each other once we got older. But Derek Carroll was the best. And, Joe Rett, it's interesting that Eau Claire High School and Lower Richland High School basketball was so big back in the late 80s. Those guys were like rock stars.
Mm-hmm.
So guys 2-3 years younger, we idolized those guys.
Mm-hmm.
We wanted to emulate those guys. And now my first year at South Carolina, guess who my roommate is? Joe Rett and Barry Manning. Man, that was crazy. And it was also probably the reason I had my absolute worst year at USC. It was the only year I didn't average double figures because I don't mind saying it. I got caught up, being at home, being in the room with two guys that I idolized, and the perks that came along with being a big time athlete. I couldn't manage it, and that ended up being, out of my 4-year career, that was the only year I did not average double figures. But I know why, because I didn't do the things necessary to be able to contribute and have the type of production that I needed. But yeah, Derek Carroll was my personal favorite amongst a lot of really, really good ones.
Well, it's the history is, like we just spoke about, a bunch of really good players, and now I asked that question, and that's the name that came up, one that we hadn't even talked about. It's the history here in this city is powerful, and now as we start wrapping up, Carey, because in my time here, I don't think I've met somebody that lives and breathes this basketball program as much as you.
Mm-hmm.
And how proud you are, and the way you represent the community, the way you represent basketball at the grassroots level, the amount of work that you put on to open doors and celebrate high school basketball in this city. I don't want to turn this to something that I was a part of, because it's not about me, it's about what this university does. But I remember how proud you were when we made our run to the Final Four, because of so many years that of your commitment, not just commitment to help, but you actually, the reason we got these offices in this practice facility where you used to play, is your sacrifices have made it better for all this, and so many like you. So as we start closing up, the way we like finishing these things, this From the Bench episode, is like in a game. Fans always think that those 30-second timeouts are powerful, like we got all the answers, and in reality, it is rapid fire, and half the times what coaches say and players do are two different things. But in this one, we call it our 30-second timeout, and I'm going to throw 3 or 4 things at you and just kind of fire out in quick answers what that means to you. Joe Rett.
One of the most humble persons you ever want to meet, the greatest, the most loyal friend, who unfortunately had his basketball career cut short due to a heart ailment. And he is the one of 3 questions that I have regarding South Carolina basketball. What if? What if Joe Rett would not have been, what if he didn't get his career taken away or cut short because of the heart ailment? I think it's fair to say that he probably would have certainly had a really, really good career in the NBA.
It's Joe Rett was the guy.
He was the guy.
He was the guy, and he literally almost lost his life playing for this university.
Yep. And I was his roommate that year that he went down, and it was scary 2 or 3 weeks after the incident.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. Your favorite moment wearing that Gamecock uniform?
Yes, 1994, we upset the Kentucky Wildcats. They were number 5 or number 7 in the country. By us beating them, it allowed Florida, the year they went on that run, allowed Florida to win the SEC championship. But what made it special was had a really good game, 19 points, 9 assists, maybe 3 steals, and played a bunch of minutes. And the last few minutes of the game, the prior week we were playing Mississippi State, we're up 2. I missed both free throws. Mississippi State heaves a 3-pointer. We lose by 1 after I had another really good game. But this particular game, it's the last possession of the game. Rick Pitino doubles off of me, and I catch it and I make a move to the basket and I drop it off to Emmett Hall. He scores it with 1 second left. We win. We upset Kentucky. And what made it even more special, it was senior night for Emmett Hall, Jamie Watson, my 2 guys, 2 all SEC guys, and that was my biggest moment as a South Carolina Gamecocks.
It's the amount of moments that this program's had are incredible. Now, a little bit harder question.
Okay.
Which was your saddest day as a Gamecock player or Gamecock member?
As a Gamecock member, probably what was my saddest day was when we lost to Gonzaga in the Final Four. And I tell people all of the time that I never really got a chance to enjoy the run because I felt like I was a part of it. So I was locked in every play. And I knew the plays you would call. I knew we needed to get this defensive rebound. I knew we needed to get this stop. So I was never able to kind of let loose and enjoy. And man, I will never forget that night in Phoenix, Arizona. I was in the hotel that you guys were staying in, and after the game, you and the entire team came back, and I remember you and I embracing, and I was just thanking you for taking us on that unbelievable run. Not only the team, but as former players who I never went to the NCAA tournament. I never had a winning season. So I was able to vicariously experience that moment with you guys, and it was so good. I never wanted it to end. And when you and the team came through those doors in Phoenix that night, that was tough.
It's funny you say that because that might be, if not the hardest, the second hardest loss I've ever experienced.
The number of Gamecock fans that made their way, not only from New York to Phoenix, Arizona, it was surreal, and I just didn't want it to end.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. Well, in closing, the last thing that I want to see where you go with this one, because I don't think I know this. So everyone in town knows you as the captain.
Yes.
The media knows you as the captain. Since you're one of the unique people, because you wear the coach's hat, you wear the player hat, you wear the media hat, and you wear the dad hat.
Yes.
And everyone knows you as the captain.
Yep.
Who named you the captain?
Phil Kornblum.
Wow.
Phil Kornblum named me the captain because I was a 2-time captain here, and I first started doing local radio with Phil Kornblum, and he named me the captain. I just don't think he knew that the captain would stick the way that it actually stuck for the last 10 or 15 years.
That's awesome. I never asked you. I never knew exactly where it came from. But Carey, I can't tell you how thankful I am that Coach Fogler put us in front of each other pretty much my first night in town. And I can't tell you how thankful I am that you have the passion that you have for people, your city, and obviously your basketball program. And thanks for being a part of this. And let's do one more episode where we can get a little deeper on maybe some old Roo stories about you and Joe Rett and the fellas.
Man, I would love to. And thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of it. And man, continue to do everything that you've been doing. And you have no idea how myself, along with many other former Gamecock basketball players, are rooting for you to do well and to continue doing well as the head coach at the University of South Carolina.
Thank you, Carey.
Yep.